Welcome to another Unleashed Legend Spotlight video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Pyke, Bloodharbor Ripper. Admittedly, Pyke is not a legend I have played a lot of. I was excited to try other things and just haven't gotten around to playing him a bunch. However, his ability does look very interesting and looks like it's something that could get you a lot of value out of your Enters Plays abilities. So going into his ability, basically we're going to be able to pay one, exhaust him to return a unit at a battlefield that we control to our hand. We also get a gold gear token exhausted, which can help us pay for some of the power costs in the deck because there are quite a few. This seems like something that's going to be able to get us a lot of extra value out of those Enters Plays triggers, but we also have to have a nice balance when utilizing this ability. If we use it too much just for the sake of bouncing something back to our hand, we're probably going to be losing a lot of tempo and not being able to develop the board. As far as battlefields, the first one that really stood out is having a lot of synergy with Pyke is the Ripper's Bay. So this seems like it's kind of built for Pyke when you return one of your units from there to your hand, you can pay one to channel or exhausted. This is going to get you a little bit of ramp to get to some top end cards, so I did include a little bit of extra top end, and we'll see that when we get to the units. Also, Vile Maw's Lair feels pretty good in this deck. You can bypass the part where units can't move from here to base by utilizing Pyke's ability to put it back into your hands. So you can get a unit there, and rather than having it stuck there, if you don't want it to be there, you just return it to your hand and redevelop it to the battlefield. Your opponent, however, is going to sit there, conquer that, and they're going to have to leave that unit there, and that unit is going to be stuck. So we get to, bypass kind of this Vile Maw's restriction. And then lastly, the Arena's Greatest. I feel like this deck can be really aggressive at times, especially with the chosen champ basically having accelerate for a power. And so I feel like, when you're on the game where you're going first against a slower deck, you just plop this down and you just take off and go, get a lot of points quickly. Getting into the chosen champion for the deck, this build is using the Pyke Dockside Butcher. As I said, this basically has accelerate for a Fury power, because when you play him, you can pay an additional cost of a Fury power. If you do, you play him ready and he gets +2 might. This can be really good coming out of the champ zone, because we could theoretically, if we really wanted, have a ongoing second turn 1 play accelerated to take a battlefield. I don't think that's necessarily great depending on the matchup. Maybe against a really slow deck that could be beneficial. But he also has hidden, so we can use him as a combat trick, flip him from hidden, pay that Fury power, and go up to 4 might off of hidden, which is also really good. We're including 3 of these total in the deck because I just think it's a really strong unit. I'm including 1 Evelyn. I think she could be a nice little trick. She's when you play her from face down on your turn, you can move an enemy unit at a different location to her battlefield. So she works kind of like a charm, but in purple. I don't know that it's as useful as charm is, but I think including 1 kind of as another hidden combat trick could be, or another hidden trick, not necessarily combat trick, but just a hidden trick could be useful. You can then bounce her back to your hand after you've used her, and then rehide her if you would like. So you get more uses out of her flip face up ability turn after turn if you want. A couple Pouty Poro feel good in this deck. I think, there's still going to be a lot of trying to target units and destroy units from spells with like Kaisas and Jins and other, singularities in blue decks, hidden blades in yellow decks. And so I just feel like including a couple Pouty Poro is a good starting baseline. There could be some better 2-drop units to include, but I think this is a good start. 3 Tide Turner. I think Tide Turner is another one of those units that could be really good for this deck. Being able to use his ability to swap positions with a unit, and then if you want, you can bounce them back to hand. So you can, instead of getting your Kaisa stuck on a battlefield, you can play Tide Turner, swap with the Kaisa, and then you can always bounce the Tide Turner back to hand if you don't want to lose that unit. It is a little bit of a tempo loss depending on what battlefield you're on, but if you're on like something, say Ripper's Bay, you could also channel that rune and possibly even have enough to replay him that turn if you want. You really have to have a 2-drop or play another 2-drop. So I think it has some definite usages there. And I am including also a couple copies of Windsinger. I think this is another unit that could have some potential with the Enter's Play ability. Being able to just bounce a unit with 3 might or less to its owner's hand on play is really nice. It could help against token decks like a Lilia or a Victor, just to get that unit off the battlefield so that you can get in there with a smaller unit to conquer that battlefield. It does sound like it feels kind of bad maybe to bounce a token, but something against like a Lilia where you're going to bounce a sprite that you might have trouble getting over, I feel like that could be very beneficial, and you can reuse it if it's, play to a battlefield. If you play it to base and the next turn conquer with it, or you play it to a battlefield that you've controlled and you can bounce that sprite and then bounce the Windsinger back, and that could really help you get some tempo in games against Lilia. We also have 3 sneaky deckhands. I think this is another good unit for the deck. You can have some fun plays where on like 7 energy, you play a sneaky, bounce it, play to the other battlefield if they're both unoccupied. That could have some like mid-game implications if you're, trying to get some last points, or maybe in a, really long game where both players are just removing things and trying to get those last 2 points. You could just from hand go boom, bounce, boom, win the game from hand there. So I think that's another good use of Pyke's ability. Of course, I think 3 Kai'Sa's not mandatory in red decks, but I think it's really good in most red decks. She's just a really strong unit, gives you a little bit of card draw, accelerate, just all around really good unit. I think it's pretty self-explanatory why it's in the deck. I've also included 2 Darius. I do like a lot of things that can come into the game and impact immediately, and Darius is definitely one of those. On 6 energy, you play Darius in a cleave or a stacked deck, and you can all of a sudden have this 7 to 10 might unit that's able to attack from hand, which reduces the amount of counterplay your opponent can have. 2 Ferris Forerunner, again another unit in red that I think is maybe not always not include, but probably should be in most red decks. It's just a really strong unit. You get that 6 might initially, and then when it dies, you get 6 might back on the board. So it makes it really tough for control decks to continuously remove your characters if you're able to, get that extra units back from its death knell. So really good unit. Some more of the top end I was talking about with Ripper's Bay. Ramp is Mind Splitter. I think this is another unit that you're probably not going to be bouncing with Pyke a lot because it is 7 and 2 power to play. But being able to have that ability to look at their hand, take a card from it, and then the next turn, if you absolutely have to, you can do it again to remove another problem card. I think that's some really good utility, and I think Mind Splitter is just an overall good unit. Getting into our spells, we got 2 Cleaves. Again, I think this works really good with Darius, but it also is just overall good in the deck. We're trying to play more of an aggressive game plan, so having that Assault 3 for that 1 energy just feels really good in a lot of situations to help get over some hold attempts. 3 stack decks, probably pretty mandatory in most Chaos decks, just really good for card filtering, finding the cards you need for the exact situations. I've included 1 Monster Harpoon. I feel like this is a nice spell for some damage in certain situations where you just need a little bit of damage to remove something to be extra aggressive. We do have a good chunk of hidden cards in the deck, so getting to the second part for 4 damage instead of the 2 is not too difficult, and I think 1 energy and a power for 4 damage is really good if we do have that hidden card. 2 Abandon. I like this is a little bit of a tempo control counter spell. The player does get the spell you countered back to their hand, but if you're hitting something like a Singularity, Imperial Decree, or you're doing Time Warp, stuff like that, any of those big spells, they're not going to be able to play it that turn, and they've basically taken their turn playing this big spell that they didn't get any use of, and you get to fix that top draw. So if that top card, when you predict, isn't very good, you just put it on the bottom and you potentially get a better card out of it. One hard bargain, I didn't want to go 3 abandon. I did want to have like one hard bargain just because there are some spells that you just want to outright counter. And being able to repeat this shouldn't be too difficult if you need to. So I don't like more than one hard bargain. I think just sitting at one's a good number. And then one Ride the Wind. I think Ride the Wind's a pretty good card. Allows you to, get over something, play something in hand and get over to attack a battlefield right away. So there's some implications that could be useful for that. Or moving units over to another battlefield. You could play Darius, play a cleave, attack a battlefield, move over to the other one, and try and finish out a game like that if you need. Playing 3 Falling Star, I think it's really good removal for red. Being able to hit a single unit for 6 damage or 2 different units for 3 can be really powerful. I think it's pretty self-explanatory why it's included. I do have it at 3 just for that extra little bit of removal, and it doesn't hurt too much if we go down on the red because Pyke's making gold when you bounce stuff with his leader ability anyways, so it's really going to help pay those power costs. So I don't think it's too detrimental to us. In the main board, we have a single copy of Rebuke. I didn't want to play too many Rebukes because there is a lot of power costs in this deck, so we're going to be recycling a lot of runes already. And I didn't want to go too heavily into that. And playing 2 Falling Stars, I only wanted to go with 1 Rebuke. You could do 2 Falling Stars and 2 Rebukes if you wanted and kind of go at it from that angle. I think that's potentially a good angle to go for. And then lastly, we'll be doing 3 copies of Pyke's signature spell, Death from Below. This is a great piece of removal. Unfortunately, it can only target units at battlefields, but it's still really strong. You're able to kill a unit at a battlefield, and if it had 3 might or less, you're able to replay this from your trash to kill another unit for just a single power. So if you want to kill 2 units, if you have something with 3 might or less, target that, kill the other unit, and you basically kill 2 units for 4 energy and 2 power. That feels really good to me. It's on par with playing, say, 2 Hidden Blades, but you didn't give your opponent the 4 cards from that. So I feel like it's a really good signature spell to be playing. Now for the sideboard, as I mentioned in other videos, sideboards are going to be very meta dependent and what you're expecting at the event, but I felt like this is just a good general sideboard. I have 2 Vex Apathetic in here. I think it's a really good 4-drop unit that can counter a lot of decks. Anything like Lilia, where they want to be playing units and attacking with them the same turn, this is going to be really good against. So if you face a Lilia, you sideboard this in, it shuts down all those sprite tokens. They're basically useless now. So it really puts a lot of pressure on Lilia to get rid of this. There's some other, the champions that this is good against. Something like Fiora, where they're trying to play things and ready them with the Fiora worthy unit. This is really good against that as well. 2 Brynhir Thunder Songs. I just think this is a great Fury card to include in your sideboard. It counters green decks really well. If you don't want to worry about them having to counter a spell or pump up their units when you go in for a combat to try and end the game, you can play Brynhir, make them play anything they have out right then at reaction speed, and then you get to have all the information you need to make your decisions. Right now I have 2 copies of Acceptable Losses in here. This is just, tech against Aurora decks. This might need to become a different gear hate. There's not a lot of great options in purple, I don't think. The only issue with Acceptable Losses is some of the Aurora decks are playing a few extra gears. If you're looking at something like a Dragon Aurora with Poppy and those colors, they do play like that, the Vanguard Armory and the Forge of the Future, so they can always just kill that with this and keep the Aurora safe. So this is a bit of a gamble. I think this might just need to be another card for killing gears, but this is what I have in there at the moment. One more hard bargain just for against any decks with a lot of big spells. You can get that extra counter spell in there. And then one more Rebuke just for any decks that make a big unit, something like Aurelia. You can put this in there and have that spell that just, all right, well, you put all your stuff in this unit, I'm just going to bounce it. So it's a good strong card, and I think one more in the sideboard just for those situations where you really have to have it is good to include. So that's the starting Pyke list I have. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few games. Alright, so we're playing against Fiora. I think we just start with the Ripper's Bay. I think that seems like just always the good game 1 battlefield. I don't think I really care about the Almaz that much. I'm not going to be pushing their units very often. It's going to be bouncing them or bouncing my own stuff to hand, so I think Almaz works well for us. I don't like having Windsinger as my turn 2 play, but we can make it work. Ride the wind. I can get rid of Fiora. It's nice to have a kill spell, but I think we need to get rid of the... I think we just get rid of the Forerunner. Oh, generally like seeing it in my hand. Keep the kill spell. There we go. We got a Poro, which is nice. We can start with that. Having the Poro lets us utilize this at a later turn. I don't know if we're going to get a ton of use out of it because of the way Fiora works and trying to make their units mighty. But we'll see what we can do. Another kill spell. We can... I really think we just come here. Score a point. Pay 1. Bounce it to my hand. Get a gold. Pay 1. Channel 1. And then drop the Poro. That keeps us free of losing the Poro, gets us some ramp. Which puts us right into a Mind Splitter. It's a great draw. I don't like seeing the Elder Dragon. I kind of think I just have to get rid of their Elder Dragon. It feels weird, but like set's good, but they don't have Fiora worthy, so it's not accelerating things. Sacrifice gets them some card draw, which they can respond to my kill spell or anything like that. I think it's Elder Dragon. Yeah, I think we're gonna do Elder Dragon. Then we'll send this here. Get myself to 2 and pass. Now I'm probably not going to utilize the bounce with the Mind Splitter, even though I could do that just to kind of rip cards slowly from the hand. I think it's a little too expensive. So I think we're just going to send Mind Splitter in and cleave it. Or offer the trade. There's no... I think there's nothing really to punish. Nothing really to punish. Sure. So they're spending the buff, giving them +4, challenging, sure. They still have sacrifice up to get cards off their Fiora. I'm just going to just straight sacrifice. Okay, so a couple options here. It's interesting they just went ahead and sacrificed then. We could just straight kill the Fiora. We're going to go down 2 runes. That's probably not terrible. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And then we can just play out the Kaisa and pass. I think that's what we're going to do. Go down that and go down that for deflect to kill. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Play the Kaisa. That gets us a Kaisa out. We can send her to the Ripper's Bay, score a point, and then either bounce her or just leave her on board. Either one's fine. If we bounce her, we could channel rune and then accelerate her and go over there, draw 2 cards. It's kind of nice. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can we start by coming here? Let's see what they do. Conquer score, draw a card. We can sneaky here, go to 4, or we just drop a Mind Splitter to rip something from their hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like the Mind Splitter play here. We're going down a lot of purple, but I do like the Mind Splitter play. Just to do a little hand control. I think it's got to be the sacrifice. Don't give them the ability to draw cards. Okay. And then we will bounce the Kaisa to hand for a gold, instead of just losing it for free. They could take my gold if they want. If they want to go down 2 runes, they could take the gold, and I don't really care. I just want to save the Kaisa. Yeah, that's fine. Thankfully, they can't use Weapon Master to auction that on. That's why I do not like this card. If they have no way to gain experience, they can not equip this. Because Weapon Master does not work with this, because Weapon Master just reduces the power you pay. Okay. Sure, take my gold. Whoops. It's supposed to... That's fine, that works. Okay, they're sacrificing anyways. Sure. That's good. So 2 units, 2 gear, 2 runes, 2 cards in hand, recycles the rest. Float 4 power. Then we'll do that gone, that gone, that gone. And do I get... I think I just get rid of the kill spell. I can go to 10 on that. I think we just get rid of the kill spell. So it's recycle, 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 recycle. Yep. So we have the cleave. So what do we do here? This is tough. The cleave doesn't get over this because that has shield, so that'll be 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 total. We could just play the Kaisa out. We could accelerate the Pyke and send them both in. I don't know what that card is though, and that does concern me. It can't be a punch first because I don't have keep 2 orange, so it can't be a punch first. If we accelerate the Pyke for 11, 14 to their 11. To their 11. 14 to 11. 14 to 11. Death grip doesn't matter. Death grip, I don't care about death grip. Call to Glory gives 3, that's a full trade. Probably okay with that. Yes, I think we're just gonna do that. We're gonna cleave that. We're at 14 and they're at 11. Sacrifice? Sure. Really had sacrifice number 3. That's fine. That's perfectly okay with me. Because we're still holding for 7 here. They got 5 in hand. They got 5 runes, 3 in hand. We're in a fine spot because I can always accelerate Kaisa if needed. To go over to Vile Maws. Go to 6. They can't equip these. These are useless. Unless they have to be playing E or something to get some experience, or something that gains some experience on play. Something with Hunt, maybe. I don't know. Rengar, sure. They can just take that. So I'm just gonna bounce that and get a gold. Trying to think if I bring that home. I kind of want to. I think we're just gonna bring that home and pass. Because any buff spell the Rengar gets over it, and I'd like to kind of keep it. I'll only be at 7, so I won't be able to like send that there and bounce it, but I can send that there, maybe play Darius there and just try and hold for that 0.8 like this. Depends on what they play. I don't know if they'll be able to get over a Splitter and Darius at that battlefield. Depending on what they play, they might not even be able to get over the Mind Splitter, so I think it's just going to depend on what they have. Because we might just play the Darius to base. Okay, draw card. Sure, play it there, please. less units in your base to try and come over here with. Because neither of these have ganking, and I'm trying to think what they could use to give ganking. The Pyke does give me a chance to try and go over that, but that is... I feel like that's too aggressive. I feel like that's way too aggressive, so I think we just come here. Let's see what they do. Score. And just play Darius. Do we hide this? I feel like hiding this is pretty useful. Because that puts that can get us to 11. We'll guarantee enough cards to play and move the Darius if needed. I don't need to put the Darius there. It's a little. I think it's a little too aggressive. I think they can. It can make it tough for them to get over, but I think it's just too aggressive to put the Darius and give them a chance for like 2 hidden blades or something, and then some sort of accelerated unit. Because I can sneaky deckhand here, accelerate Kaisa, both Kaisa and that go over there for 11, and that's pretty decent. If you have some hidden blades, I'm going to get some cards that might be useful as well. Cold of the Week's probably pretty decent if they're playing it, but I'll just reveal the Pyke and kill it. Sure. Challenge. Sure. First mate. Maybe I should have paid the red, but I wanted to make sure I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I could have paid the red for him to give him plus. Nope, nothing. GG. Alright, so playing Ivern. Ripper's Bay should still be a fine start. Can't think of... Don't think either of the other battlefields is better, so... we'll start... It's not a great opener. I think we just get rid of those. Keep the kill spell. The cleave. Hope for a 2-drop. When we get a 2-drop, it's not preferred, but it'll work. Can thankfully bounce it back to our hand, so it's not the worst thing in the world. See if we go. We just go and take this and develop a Kaisa. I wonder what the hitting could be. It could be a unit. I think we're going to go for this. We do have the abandon. Or cycle that. Then we'll come here. Conquer score, draw. Get rid of the battlefield. Do they have rush that I need to worry about? I really don't think they do. I don't care if they were to try and kill spell that, so I think we just leave it there and pass. Do have a couple stacked decks. I'm running a little low on gas here, which is not great. Sure. If they want a Hidden Blade my Kais and give me 2 cards, that's fine by me. Okay, call. Back to back calls, sure. Poro. Okay, that's a good draw. 1, 2, 3. Could accelerate the Pyke. They have 3 left. Could then hide the Windsinger. It's a lot of power cost, but I think it's okay. I think we do this so that we can bounce this if we need to. We have 4 damage to something from the face down card being there. We have access to stacked decks. And then we have ganking here if we need it. Yeah, that's pretty good. We can bounce it to my hand, save it but with Windsinger to bounce it to my hand if they want a Hidden Blade as well. Okay. Five. Gank over for 6. Let's start with the stacked deck. Try and get a unit. Ride the Wind's actually pretty decent. We'll take the Ride the Wind. Falling Star. Kill that. Sure. It's fine. So then my options are kind of want to stack deck again just to see if we can find a 2-drop. None of those are great. I guess we take this. I think we're just, let's see, we're going to be at 6 runes. I think one of the safe things we can do is maybe bounce this for gold. If I bounce this, I think they just left because they know we win. So they can't remove both. We go to 8. They try and kill us. We can just bounce this to hand. If they kill this, we draw 2. They have no accelerate. And then we can just play accelerate the Pyke and then have the ride the wind to conquer anyways. Alright, so that was a few games that I felt really showcased what this deck can do and really showcased what the Pyke legend ability is all about, being able to bounce those units back to your hand and get more value out of them. You will notice there are a few games where I chose not to do the Mind Splitter bounces just because there was not, a good opportunity to do that, and I don't think you're going to, have that opportunity very often where you're going to be able to take those turns to play a Mind Splitter and then next turn bounce it and replay it. I think that's just too slow in a lot of instances, and it's just not going to be very useful. Overall, I had a ton of fun playing this deck. It's not one I was very excited for initially, but playing it actually felt a lot of fun. It's a little bit of a different take on a way to play the red and purple colors together, so that was really nice and refreshing. Let me know down in the comments if you are excited to try Pyke out and what your build ideas for him are, and I'll see you in the next video.